The bodies had been there the entire time, hidden in plain view. What appeared at first to be nothing more than discarded clothes turned out to be something far more disturbing, a discovery that would forever stain Bellevue's reputation as a peaceful suburb for families. On the night of January 3rd, 1997, 4 members of one household were mercilessly slaughtered. The person responsible, too young to drink, too calm to panic, and far too methodical to have acted alone. This wasn't just a murder. It was a carefully orchestrated execution, carried out with chilling precision by someone far too young to truly grasp the weight of death. It began like any other cold winter day. The air was still, gray and quiet, the kind of stillness that makes everything feel dull and deceptively safe. In a small pocket of Bellevue, just outside Seattle, 2 boys were playing in a local park. As they ran across the open field and drifted toward the thick brush at the park's edge, one of them noticed something unusual. Partially hidden under dry leaves and nestled between the bushes was something strange. At a glance, it looked like a bundle of old clothing, maybe something discarded by a careless hiker. They glanced at it, thought little of it, and went back to their game. But something about it stuck with them. Children often pick up on things adults miss. Maybe it was instinct, maybe just unease. Either way, it brought the mem-met the next day. They returned to the same patch of brush, and this time they saw it clearly. It wasn't clothing. It was a body. Terrified, they ran home. Their voices were shaky, their faces pale. One of their mothers immediately called the police. Officers arrived within minutes. What they discovered confirmed the worst. Lying lifeless in the underbrush was a young woman. Her hair was dark, her build petite, and her injuries were impossible to ignore. Her face was bruised and swollen, her hands scraped. A cord was wrapped tight around her neck, like the killer had wanted to make absolutely certain she would never breathe again. Her name, the police would soon learn, was Kimberly Wilson. She was only 20 years old. Nothing about her situation made sense. Kimberly wasn't someone who courted danger. She had no criminal history, no known enemies. She was a college student, bright, outgoing, full of dreams. A young woman who should have been safe in a place like Bellevue. But now she was gone. And the person who'd done this hadn't even made an effort to hide her. That level of audacity suggested either supreme confidence or complete lack of empathy, or perhaps something far darker. Detectives immediately sensed more was at play. Something didn't sit right. The Wilson family hadn't reported Kimberly missing. No calls, no outreach. That alone was odd. So, officers made their way to the Wilson home, a neat, well-maintained house on a quiet street, still adorned with holiday lights that blinked faintly in the morning gloom. But something about the house was off. 3 vehicles were parked outside, yet the house was completely dark, silent, the kind of silence that sends a chill down your spine. Detective Jeff Gomes approached carefully. That's when he noticed the sliding glass door in the back. It was slightly open. He called out, but no one answered. The house was eerily still. With his gun drawn, Gomes stepped inside. Every step was slow, every breath measured. The air was heavy. He crept up the stairs, still holding on to hope that the family might just be asleep, unaware of the tragedy unfolding just outside. But what he found shattered that hope. Blood everywhere. It stained the walls, speckled the ceiling, soaked the carpet. The violence had been close range, personal, and savage. In the master bedroom lay Rose Wilson, Kimberly's mother. Her body had been viciously attacked. Multiple stab wounds to the throat. Her face beaten to the point of being nearly unrecognizable. A heavy object had been used to crush her skull. The sheets beneath her were saturated. At the foot of the bed was William Bill Wilson, Kimberly's father. His injuries matched Rose's, stabbed, bludgeoned, and left to die beside his wife. But it didn't stop there. Just outside the bedroom in the hallway was another grim sight. Julia Wilson, Kimberly's 17-year-old sister, lay crumpled on the floor. Unlike her parents, she had clearly fought back. Her arm was broken, likely defensive, her face and neck riddled with stab wounds. Whoever had done this wasn't just trying to kill, they were trying to annihilate. In minutes, the Wilson home turned into a fully active crime scene. Yellow tape, cameras flashing, gloved officers collecting what pieces remained of a family that no longer existed. 4 lives erased. A massacre that began with Kimberly and led to something far more sinister. The question wasn't just who did it. It was, how could anyone do this and walk away? The truth that would follow was darker than anything Bellevue detectives had ever encountered. Detectives fanned out. Interviews began. Neighbors questioned. But Bellevue wasn't the kind of place where people paid attention to each other. It was quiet, subdued. Most said they didn't hear or see anything. No screams, no signs of struggle. Just another peaceful evening in the suburbs. The investigation shifted to the Wilsons' personal lives. Bill Wilson was a respected engineer, known for his reliability and dedication. Rose worked in retail, friendly, warm, always smiling. Julia was a senior in high school, quiet, polite, well-liked. Everything seemed normal. Until they turned their attention to Kimberly. Kim's school counselor remembered signs of strain. Tension between Kim and her parents during her final school years. Arguments. Emotional distance. A neighbor had even called police the year before about a domestic disturbance. Yelling, shouting, but nothing serious enough to raise alarms. It had all seemed like typical teenage rebellion, but now it looked like a missed warning. Digging into Kim's social life, detectives uncovered something strange. She hadn't been into drugs or wild parties, but she did spend time with a peculiar group of teens who hung out late at night at the local Denny's. They called themselves the Saturday Night Denny's Club. At first glance, it was innocent. Just teenagers drinking coffee, staying up late. But there was a darkness underneath. The group dressed in black, embraced Gothic culture, and engaged in role play. But not typical fantasy games. These had violent, erotic, and morbid themes. For most, it was just an edgy phase. But not all. 2 names kept coming up, Barani and Anderson. According to several in the group, these 2 talked about murder often. Too often. What started as disturbing jokes began to sound more like obsessions. Detectives paid them a visit. Both boys were calm, unshaken. Barani told police he and Anderson had spent the night playing video games. Nothing out of the ordinary. But detectives didn't buy it. They focused on a unique piece of evidence, a distinct shoe print left at the Wilson crime scene. It wasn't common. It had a particular sole pattern. When asked to show his shoes, Barani offered a pair of brown work shoes, claimed they were his only pair, but witnesses told a different story. A friend confirmed he had another pair of boots, with soles that looked suspiciously like those found in the blood at the Wilson house. The video game alibi also began to crumble. Neighbors didn't see Anderson at Barani's house that night. The boy's story was falling apart. Then came the breakthrough. 2 separate bloody footprints had been found at the scene. This wasn't the work of a lone killer. This was a team. Barani and Anderson had walked into that house together. 5 days later, police questioned Barani again. Something had shifted. The facade cracked, and he confessed. There was no emotion, no guilt, just a flat retelling of the murders. He said he killed Kimberly first, strangled her in the park, left her body among the brush. But later, panic crept in. What if she had told her parents where she was going? What if they knew? That's when he made a decision. If they knew, they had to die. He grabbed a baseball bat and a combat knife and returned to the Wilson home, a home he'd visited before. He slipped in through the back. Rose was first, attacked in her sleep. Bill rushed in but was overwhelmed. Then Julia, who fought but didn't stand a chance. Before he left, he looted the house. A VCR, a CD player, a phone. Then walked out as if nothing had happened. Even after confessing, Barani wouldn't reveal his accomplice. But detectives were already looking at Anderson. Brought back in, Anderson changed his story. No longer claiming to have played video games, he now said he was out driving a borrowed truck. He admitted he knew Barani was planning something. Said Kim was just a friend. But 3 neighbors had seen both boys leave Barani's house that night, together. Search warrants followed. Inside both boys' homes, police found stolen items from the Wilson house. But most damning of all, the matching shoes, bloody soles, DNA-confirmed blood from multiple Wilson family members. Anderson had walked through that house, too. Justice caught up with both. Barani was tried first. He didn't flinch during testimony, showed no emotion, found guilty, sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms. When asked if he had anything to say, just a shrug. No, I don't think so. Anderson's trial dragged longer. He changed lawyers, changed stories, tried to deflect. But the evidence was unshakable. In the end, he too was sentenced to 4 life terms for years. It seemed that was the end, until the law changed. In 2012, the Supreme Court ruled that sentencing minors to life without parole was unconstitutional. The adolescent brain, science showed, was still developing, impulsive, short-sighted. In 2018, Washington state restructured its laws. Juvenile offenders, even those convicted of the worst crimes, could no longer be denied the possibility of parole. Barani's sentence was vacated. He would be re-sentenced. Minimum now, 25 years to life. In 2024, Barani stood in court again. Like Anderson before him, he now had a path to parole. He smiled as he left the courtroom, but the Wilsons don't get a second chance. There's no parole for the dead, no resentencing for a family buried together. Kim, Julia, Rose, Bill. 4 names lost in a single night of horror, and 2 boys who may one day walk free. Does a teenager's undeveloped brain excuse a fully realized evil? Let us know in the comments. And if you're still here, thank you for watching. Be sure to check out the next video. You won't want to miss it.